Welcome to NTV World Insight. In recent weeks, Nepali people have witnessed an extraordinary surge of civic energy led by the country's Generation Z, a movement that shook the political establishment, forced the government out, and compelled early elections well ahead of schedule. What began as an expression of dissent on social media quickly became a nationwide demand for accountability, transparency, and a new leadership. As Nepal prepares to head back to the polls, fundamental questions emerge. What do these developments say about the evolution of Nepal's democracy? Are we witnessing a generational shift that could redefine governance? Or are we at risk of political instability repeating itself under a new name? To help us unpack these questions, we are joined by someone whose understanding of Nepal's political and constitutional journey runs deep, Dr. Surya Subedi. Dr. Subedi is a professor of international law at the University of Leeds, where he has served since 2004. But his contributions extend far beyond academia. In Nepal, he has played a pivotal role as an advisor and mediator during some of the country's most critical transitions, from helping leaders navigate the end of the decade-long Maoist conflict to contributing to the drafting of a new democratic constitution that lay to the foundation for lasting peace and inclusion. In today's NTV World Insight, we'll explore not just the political turbulence, but also what lies ahead for Nepal's democracy, its peoples, and its place in a changing global dynamic. Professor Subedi, welcome to NTV World Insight.
Thank you so much. I'm very pleased to join you, and thank you for your very generous introduction.
Professor Subedi, to recall this whole thing, a lot happened in a few days in early September. How do you recall the moments and the developments as they unfolded?
Well, I was shocked and saddened by what happened in Nepal during that very crucial week. I think it was largely due to lack of good governance, accountability, and rampant corruption at all levels. The new generation, young people were disillusioned by the political system, the system of governance, and it came with an explosion of the dissatisfaction. That could have been managed well in advance. Nepal has experienced many political changes, but these political changes have not been able to deliver the services people wanted to have delivered. Good governance is a very key element in any system of governance. But in Nepal, whether we talk about the changes in 1944-45, or the changes after the Maoist rebellion in the country, this change also, the political leaders do not seem to have learned the lessons of history, how to manage the situation in the country, how to deliver services. As you can see in Nepal, the political system itself is good, the constitution is good, the political framework is sound, but the implementation of it has been a problem. And I have interacted with many political leaders. I haven't seen the sincerity and seriousness required on the part of political leadership in Nepal. I think that was a contributing factor to this unfortunate situation in Nepal.
Professor Subedi, you have observed our country's democracy unfold over the course of time. Where do you think we stand at the moment?
Compared to the many constitutions around the globe, the new constitution, Nepal's constitution, is a progressive one, but the problem lies in its implementation. Problem lies in the capacity of the leaders to deliver, because they all were busy in gaining power, remaining in power. I didn't see any vision on the part of any political leaders how the country should move forward. It's a small country, sandwiched between two giants of Asia. Any leadership should be smart. Nepal was lacking that smart leadership. They all were embroiled in power sharing, constant squabble among themselves. Who becomes prime minister, who forms the government? So they have wasted time in negotiating among themselves to remain in power, rather than negotiating how to take the country forward. I think that's the challenge for the country. Lack of a visionary leadership, a wasted opportunity during the previous political changes. And I fear this time also somehow the country may experience the same unfortunate situation again, not demonstrating the vision required for the country, not learning enough lessons from the previous experience and the present experience as well.
Professor Subedi, you rightly mentioned that we definitely are sandwiched between two giants, and there's a lot of geopolitical sensitivity that we need to consider whenever making decisions or any approaches of the country. How do you think this movement places us in the geopolitics of the region?
First of all, many international friends of Nepal took the situation very seriously. Many reports are indicating, even there were some credible reports in the international media, there was some well-planned conspiracy here at work. So what were the Nepali security agencies were doing? If it was, I'm not saying it was, but the reports are there, credible reports, suggesting that it was a pre-planned operation. What were they doing? What was the Home Minister doing? What was the Home Ministry doing? What was the Army was doing? What were the intelligence officers were doing? What were the whole government apparatus was doing? When the country was going through this difficult situation, when if the preparations were there, well-planned operation, what happened here? What happened to the whole entire machinery of the government? That's the question people are asking nationally, internationally at the moment.
Professor Subedi, there were a lot of speculations. There are, in fact, a lot of speculations at the moment as well. Growing speculations, in fact, that there were international influences, international actors that were in play during the movement, like you mentioned just now as well, during the formation of the interim government as well. And the influence is likely to stay as well. How do you view this scenario? Is it true? What can the public expect?
Well, it is difficult to say whether foreign powers or foreign elements were involved in it, because much of the evidence that could be analyzed, forensic analysis could be carried out, has been lost. No action was taken in the immediate aftermath.
Professor Subedi, we also have a commission that's investigating the whole scenario. What do you think of it?
Government at the moment doesn't have enough powers to change something fundamental in the country. As you know, in very many countries, in the aftermath of a revolution, in the aftermath of a major political agitation, if a new government is formed, that government will have a mandate to bring about some fundamental change. Here, the main mandate of the government is to hold the next parliament election in about 6 months' time. Is that the only mandate? Is that enough for the government to implement the wishes, the demands of the young generation, so-called GenZ movement? So my concern at the moment is that the government should have a more wide-ranging powers. One possibility could be, I am not saying that it should be done, but one possibility could be to reinstating parliament and enacting new laws as a matter of urgency, and then empower the government to put in place fundamental changes that is required in the country. So as far as I can see, overhauling of the system without cancelling the constitution, without denying the existence of the constitution, a fundamental change in the political culture is required.
Professor Subedi, you just mentioned that reinstating the parliament could be one of the options, but wouldn't that negate the sentiment of the public?
Rather than dissolving parliament overnight, what I would have liked to see, the president calling for an emergency session of parliament, tabling before parliament fundamental laws required to change the political future of the country, and then dissolving parliament after that one. Now we have done emergency legislation needed for the government. Now the country goes to the polls. That should have been the case. But dissolving parliament without enacting new laws doesn't give enough powers to the current government to bring about the changes that the GenZ people have been demanding. So we may be losing this opportunity once again. So much destruction has taken place in Nepal. So many young people have made the demand, lost their lives. How do you address the situation? By taking immediate measures. So 6 months parliamentary election, the new government, we don't know who will form the government, again a coalition government. So all these things may fizzle out eventually. The country has made so much sacrifice, so much destruction has taken place. What is the final result? What is going to be the outcome? I'm not very hopeful of that outcome.
Professor Subedi, when you say the government lacks power, what do you exactly mean by it? Could you please elaborate more on it? In what ways we can enforce the government, if we can?
first of all, you should have powers to constitute a very powerful anti-corruption body. If I recall correctly, whatever I have monitored from here, the main demand was the lack of good governance, lack of the ability of the government to provide services to the people, lack of the ability of the government to control corruption. So that was their main demand. Their demand, as far as I am aware, was not to dissolve parliament, but the restructuring of the people who are in positions of power at the moment. That should have been done. What we have seen now, one government has gone out, another government has come into existence. GenZ population did not certainly wish to see just new faces in the government. They wanted to see new drastic measures taken by the government. As you say in English, you hit the iron when it is hot, but the iron is getting colder, and then the time we may be losing time to bring about the power of the people should have been expressed through parliament. GenZ people could have surrounded parliament, forced parliamentarians to enact emergency laws to address the demands of the GenZ population before it was dissolved. Now there is no parliament, there is a caretaker government basically with one main mandate of holding the elections. How do you address the demands of the NG people in the meantime? 6 months is a long time in the history of a country. Even then, parliament may come into existence, but we don't know what sort of government it will be. Configuration of parliament, we don't know. So it may fizzle out. That's my worry.
Professor Subedi, now preparations are in full swing for the election. There are a lot of concerns and worries as well, if that will happen at all. How do you see this scenario unfolding?
I think elections should take place, and I'm confident it will take place. I have confidence in the Prime Minister of the interim government. I was one of those who condemned publicly. I think I was one of the very first person. I used the word Chapamar Shaili. She was being impeached by parliament. I said that was unacceptable. I supported her then. I support her now. But my worry is that does she have enough powers? Does she have enough people around her to implement here and now rather than waiting for 6 months?
A lot of leaders, political leaders and also public faces that many people trusted have been questioned. There have been accusations, speculations about influences from international forces. Who can the public trust at this moment if we are to go into election and if we are to vote for the people that can actually rule and deliver good governance?
Well, at the moment, we have to have trust and confidence in the government we have in the country, no matter how it came into existence and what its powers are currently. But again, we have to have trust and confidence in the process. So it's a good decision to hold parliamentary election. But is the midterm election itself a solution to the problem in the country? It was not GenZ only. We have been saying all along, intellectuals in Nepal, outside of Nepal, we have been saying, hey, there is no good governance. Corruption is rampant at all levels in the government. You should do something. We have been saying this one. What I see in Nepal, lack of seriousness on the part of political leaders, lack of vision, lack of sincerity. All politics, they have become political parties without principles.
I want to stretch on what you are saying. If you could give the picture to our viewers, what the roadmap could likely look like.
Okay, the roadmap should be constituting immediately a powerful commission, empowered by the law of the land, number one, to investigate the corrupt activities of politicians, civil servants, anybody, everybody who has exercised public authority, number one. That was number one demand of the GenZ population, if I understand correctly. Holding them to account. So many scandals have taken place. So many corruption. People know what has gone on in society. But saying the next parliament will do it, will they do it? The same politicians may come back to parliament. Because do GenZ have a party? Do they have the capacity to go to the polls saying that we are a new party, vote for us? Remains to be seen. I would like to see that one. But they are young people, they haven't got much experience in politics. So in the absence of a major independent political party coming to the picture, the same political parties will contest the election. The same political faces may come back to parliament, the repeat of the same situation. Habits die hard. These people who have been used to exploiting the natural resources of the country for their own benefit, what is the guarantee that they will not do it? Therefore, a powerful commission now, number one, internal political democracy within political parties is very important. As you know, one of the main sources of corruption is taking money to hand out the tickets for parliamentary elections under the table. That's number two, I will say. Number three, empowering the anti-corruption body, Akhtiyar Durupayog Nivaran Ayog. It has not been powerful. It has gone after small fishes. It has not gone after the big fishes in the country.
There are a lot of questions about the federal structure of the country that was envisioned by the Constitution itself and also the election system. What do you think of it?
Well, I have my own personal views, but so far as I am concerned, the country cannot write and rewrite the Constitution all the time. So the Constitution is basically fine. People may have reservations with the federal structure, but federal structure is needed to decentralize power. But the decentralization has not taken place. That's the problem. It was created with a view to decentralizing power from Kathmandu, from Singh Darbar, from the hands of the Prime Minister, which has not happened to the degree required, number one. Number two, during the period leading up to the writing of the new Constitution, I was, many of you may know, actively campaigning for a presidential system of government, directly elected president with executive power. I lobbied for it. I published articles for it. Then I championed the idea because I thought political stability could be achieved by doing so. As you mentioned, alluded to, you indicated some foreign influence could be in the recent riots. What is the guarantee that if you give powers to one individual, that person turns out to be corrupt? That person doesn't work in the best interest of the country. Then the country's future will still be at stake. Therefore, at least parliamentary system of government, people can have a collective sort of a discussion. They can work as a check on each other. Therefore, now I am not in favor of, on the basis of the experience of the so-called new political party, the leadership they have, I don't have enough confidence to say that the country should go for a directly elected presidential system of government. Therefore, we must find solutions under the existing constitution. There is no problem with the constitution. So, no point in throwing this constitution in the gutter and then again trying to write a new constitution. It will again waste another 10 years of time of Nepal, which Nepal cannot afford to do so. So let's strengthen the institution, work within the constitution.
Around the same time as Nepal's GenZ movement, there were similar developments elsewhere as well. What happened in Nepal has been seen as a fuel for similar movements in the Southeast Asian region. Nepal's flag was also spotted during a protest in Georgia. How do you view this phenomenon? Do you think this generational discontent has triggered a new wave of unrest across the world?
Yes, indeed. Of course, Nepal's movement was preceded by the movement in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh. We have seen, they were not called GenZ, but they were young people, students in Bangladesh, and other younger people in Sri Lanka as well. We have seen what has happened elsewhere. There was a repeat pattern in Nepal. Of course, in Nepal, much younger people came out in the street, but again, the momentum had begun already, and now that momentum has spread in various parts of the world, even in Indonesia, although it didn't go very far. Now in Morocco, we can see in different parts of the world, the younger people who are well educated, who are patriotic, who want to bring about reform in the country, who want to see democracy work in the country, have been agitating, demonstrating against the autocratic governments, number one, or so-called democratic but corrupt. That was the problem in Sri Lanka. That was the problem in Bangladesh. They were democratic but thoroughly corrupt. In Nepal, the same thing, political establishment thoroughly corrupt. Therefore, the movement will continue in some form in other parts of the world.
How do you think international partners, including the UK, play a constructive role in supporting Nepal's next phase of youth-led development?
Well, I think international community has a tremendous goodwill for Nepal. I have experience in my own life, living in the UK, working at 2-3 universities, and internationally, wherever I go, Nepali people are liked generally internationally. They see very unfortunate situation. What has happened in Nepal? आफ्नो घुँडामा आफैले बन्चरो हान्ने convoy, that's what has happened in Nepal. People have shot themselves in their foot in Nepal by the destruction, not the GenZ movement, but the destruction. People are simply surprised. How can the people burn down their own institutions, their own national treasures? What has happened in Nepal? Surprise. Nevertheless, if there is a government capable of rebuilding trust in the international community of Nepal, they will extend their hand of cooperation. No matter what has happened. Just as you know, in Gaza, massive destruction has taken place, but the now international community is coming together how they can reconstruct Gaza. The same thing in Nepal, but there has to be a visionary leadership. There has to be a visionary foreign minister, a towering figure, an intellectual figure who can command the respect of the national and international community.
Going forward, based on your experience, of course, with international law and diplomacy, what lessons do you think Nepal can draw from other successful democracies?
Well, I think Nepal has a democracy and human rights in paper, but in practice, there are so many areas to be addressed. The new constitution was adopted 10 years ago. Not enough laws have been enacted. So, because the government, as I said, just simply focusing on remaining in power, 3 political leaders, a musical chair, rotating power among themselves, squabbling. Remember the documents that came out alleging each other of severe incompetence of each other. So, the country has wasted a lot of energy. Therefore, human rights, rule of law, democracy has not been as strong in practice as it should have been in Nepal. That's my frustration. We had wasted 10 years of time, which was a golden opportunity. After the new constitution was adopted, there was a momentum. Wow, let's do something for the country. Let's come together. Let's unite. But what happened? Squabbling, constant squabbling for power. Bringing down the existing government, forming a new government. The opportunity was wasted even after the 1990 changes, 45 salis ko andolan, 1990 changes. There was no visionary leader in power. They could not unite the country. Those countries which became democratic in Eastern European countries, along with Nepal at the same time, accelerated their economic development. They became members eventually of a rich club of European countries called the European Union. Their economy had advanced so much that they were able to gain membership of such a powerful club. Where has Nepal gone? Backwards. Where has Nepal gone? Not able to harness the natural resources of the country, not able to harness the goodwill of the international community, not able to harness the patriotic enthusiasm of the people within the country. So I hope the changes that have taken place in Nepal will not meet the same fate again.
Professor Subedi, you mentioned about what role the Gen Zs can play, but apart from them, what role should in fact the other Nepali nationals now play at this moment to ensure that we keep the changes for good?
Well, I think supporting the present government and again, making it more powerful and arguing for restructuring of the state apparatuses, internal democracy in the country, encouraging a rebellion in all major political parties. A rebellion is necessary in all political parties. Throw away the incompetent leadership that has brought this country to this state. So there's a lot of work to be done, building public opinion with a view to achieving achieving democratic culture in the country, achieving good governance in the country, and stamping out corruption.
Professor Subedi, thank you so much for being on NTV World Insights. Thank you for your valuable contributions.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share my thoughts with your readership, and I wish you all the best and thank you again. And nice to be with you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to our viewers as well for staying with us here on NTV World Insight. You can follow us on our social media pages and on YouTube as well for latest informations. You can also go to our website nepaltvworld.com. That's it from me for now. Until next time.